Hello there, dear viewer, and welcome to haQ attaQ. My name is Jakob. I'm your host, and you're watching a haQ attaQ episode. And I've been investing a lot of time into testing Animoog Z. I love the original Animoog, and I wanted to see how improved Animoog Z is over the original one. And I must say that I think that Moog has gone the right way with this. Not only does Animoog or Animoog Z sound absolutely wild and crazy and really good, it also gives you really deep modulation capabilities for your patches. Now I'm a bit nostalgic, and as you can see, I'm using a 2D view right now of the Moog logo. I like it when people get really creative with this thing. And so in my list of the 5 top things I love about Animoog Z, well, the first one is the XYZ pad. Now it is all in 3D view, and as you just saw there, well, there's something called perpetual rotation. And it's, well, basically this. You can get this thing to rotate, and while it's rotating, you can actually sculpt sounds. Now, you have to turn on the perpetual rotation inside the settings menu. So go to settings and then go to configuration and then make sure that perpetual rotation is on. Once it is on, you can go to the orbs view and you can get this thing to rotate. And so what can you do with this? Well, here's some stuff that I did. Now, I gotta admit, I have actually spent more time sculpting and making pictures with this perpetual rotation thing than actually doing synthesis, because it's just so much fun and it looks nice. It looks really nice. And I asked Gert Bevin over at Moog who came up with this or why they put this in here, because I think it's a brilliant move.
We have such a great team that it's really hard to know where ideas come from, because we really riff off of each other very well. Initially, when we had the rotation going on, we thought like maybe we should have some inertia on it so that it sort of slows down when you let go, so that it wouldn't sort of stop when you let your fingers off of the screen. And once we started playing with that, then it was like, you know, it would be kind of cool to sort of be able to spin it around. And initially we didn't thought of that because one of the first versions didn't allow you to rotate all the way around. It was sort of only going 180 degrees one side and then 180 degrees the other side, but sort of not continuously spinning. And then once we realized that we should just unlock that, and then with the inertia we added, it's like, let's just give it a go what that perpetual motion thing does. And we all just like, whoa, this is so awesome.
Yeah, like I said, I really like it when you can get creative with not only the sound in your patches, but when the graphics are tied to your sound. It's a beautiful thing that Moog did here. Now, the next thing on my list of stuff I love with Animoog Z is the fact that you can MIDI map the X-axis, the Z-axis, origin controls, and also Y-axis. And you can move them around in real time with either a MIDI controller or some kind of MIDI app or something like that. As long as you've got some MIDI CC controls, you can do some pretty wild stuff. So whatever you draw or end up sculpting inside this view, you can actually move it around with MIDI, and that way also get more modulation out of your sound. And it's so easy to MIDI map stuff in here. You just go into settings and then go to MIDI and then press map MIDI and it puts itself into a learning mode. Now I've got several MIDI controllers connected to my iPad here, but I'm going to use my NanoKey Studio, and if you want to know more about this controller in particular, I do have a video about that, but that's all I'm gonna say. So if I wanted to map the X origin control, I just tap it, activate it, and then just pull a control. And then I just do the exact same thing with the other two, and once I'm done, I can just press the X here, and now we've got full control over the X, Y, and Z axis. And this will also modulate your sound. It's pretty insane. I just love the depth of Animoog when it comes to playing wavetables, because that's what you're doing actually.
Actually, the hardest thing to solve was the interaction with the 3D view. If you've used any 3D modeling software, you know that you basically need at least 3 views because you're working on a 3-dimensional projection on a 2D screen. So you basically lose a big part of the information when you interact with the 3-dimensional drawings that are happening. So that was really hard to figure out how far we wanted to go and how simple we still wanted to keep it. Because it's a musical instrument, it's not a 3D drawing package. So trying to find that balance, like how can we make the 3D interaction engaging and inspiring, and how can we still allow it to create very precise paths in 3 dimensions without basically taking over the whole UI and turning it into a 3D design package.
Alright, so the next thing on my list are the improved envelopes and LFOs. You of course had them in the original Animoog, and if you wanted to enlarge the window for the amp envelope, you could do that by double tapping in the window, but you couldn't do it for the LFOs. Well, here in Animoog Z, we've got full views, and if you want to enlarge the view, you just press the triangle up there, and here you have access to even more controls. And the controls that I love that they put in here are basically slope controls. Now we can finally curve all of our slopes, the attack, the decay, and release. Very good. Now, that's not the only improvement. I love the improvement of the LFOs too. Now, if I enlarge this one and show you what I love most about this. Normally, when you choose and select between different waveforms for an LFO, you choose from a list. Triangle, sine, square, well, you know what I mean. Well, here you've got a continuous morphing control. And so if I just take the shape here and I do this, well, oh, look at that smooth animation. It's so nice. And this gives you a lot of control over how the LFO will work and how it affects your patch, depending on where you route it. It's a small change, but it does so much when it comes to synthesis and being able to control what's going on inside a patch. Now, the fourth thing on my list has to do with timbres. They have included a timbre builder. So if you want to make a new timbre, which is basically a wavetable with 16 different waveforms in them, well, you just go to timbres and press the plus sign over here. Now, here you can see a grid, and basically here is where you put your waveforms. So instead of talking about it, I'm going to show you. So I'm going to press wave, and it opens up the files app, basically. And right now I'm inside my audio share files, and all I have to do is to find a, well, let's go here, haQ liquid hydro drop pop. Yeah, that's samples I made myself. Go into the tank and just load a sample. Now here I get to decide how much of the sample I want to use, and I just want to use a sliver of it like this. I want to make a simple waveform, and then I insert it here, and here I have my first waveform in my timbre. Now, apart from loading waveforms, you can also record waveforms right into here, which is super nice. So the possibilities are endless. In any case, when you're done filling up your timbre, you can just save it, and then that timbre will end up inside this list here. Where you can use it for one of the timbre slots or all of them, depending on how you want to work. Now, the fifth and last thing on my list is the modulation matrix or modulation section. And what is it that I like so much about it? I mean, visually there's been a lot of change, and I mean it feels optimized now. It just feels more fluid. However, what I like most about this, it's gonna sound ridiculous, but in the original Animoog, you had 4 slots, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, in this one, you've got 10. And that's what I like. That's the final thing on my list. There's more stuff that we can modulate now, and we can do it using these 10 modulation slots.
So Animoog, the original Animoog, was created for the very first iPad. Imagine that. The very first iPad in existence. That's what it was written for. That's a long time ago, and that is a lot of different iOS versions and a lot of different development kits and libraries that have come and gone over all those years. We've seen audio bus appear and then internet audio, and then we've seen it all disappear and being deprecated, and then AUV3 come along. So that's all happened in that period. And just changing the Animoog original code to support AUV3 would have required us to rewrite it anyway. So we decided we might as well rewrite it. And one of the things we did do was we're standing basically on our history of Model 15 and MIDI Mod Model D apps, and that we use a lot of the infrastructure that we have put in place for those 2 apps.
All right, so some final words. Now, I'm a person that easily gets put off from trying anything new that a lot of people are talking about. I don't know what's wrong with me, but if too many people are trying to recommend the same movie to me, then I won't watch it. It'll take me a decade, and then I'll watch it with white knuckles, angry at myself for giving in to everyone else's advice. I don't know why I'm that stupid. I don't know what's wrong with me, but that's the way it is. And I can understand if there are people out there who have been, you're sick to death hearing about Animoog and now Animoog Z, and you're thinking to yourself, it really can't be that good. Here's my advice to you.
Stop it. Get some help.
Go try Animoog Z out. It's a freemium app, so you can try it out right now, and you don't have to buy anything. Just go try it out. You owe it to yourself to experience Animoog at least once if you haven't yet. Now, before you leave, if you liked this video, then give me a thumbs up. If you didn't like this video, give me a thumbs down. And just interacting with this video and commenting down below, it really does help me out a lot. Now, if you want to support me financially, then check out my music first. I like it when people go check out my music. And there's a full list of links down below. And if you don't want to do that, I've got PayPal and Patreon. And if you don't want to do any of it, it's fine. So, as usual, I wish you a very productive week. Now go finger all of your stuff and have a lot of fun doing it.